Okay, darlings, tonight we're making rough puff for Danishes. It's quite a bit different than making yeasted puff pastry for croissant and pain au chocolat, etc. And that's because it doesn't involve a very cold butter slab, butter mixture with flour, and it doesn't require 6 folds and turns. What the difference is, you add butter at nearly room temperature in the flour package. This is 4 tablespoons of butter. I've taken an entire pound of butter and cut it into tablespoon-sized pieces. And I forget what that weighs. I think that weighs about 60 grams. I have 1 pound and 4 ounces of all-purpose flour. I have, and my mise en scène, c'est correct, hein? Okay, so I have my milk, whole milk, 1 cup. This is the first thing you have to do before I motor on talking. And just add 2, and I've microwaved it so it's kind of lukewarm. And I have 2 packets of yeast, and that's 7 grams because I don't have packets. And that should take 5 minutes to foam up. If it doesn't foam up, it's not good. So then I have 2 eggs plus 1 yolk. Like I said, I have my 4 tablespoons of butter, and I have 1 pound 4 ounces of flour. I'm going to pour that in here. This is just for the flour package. The rest of the butter and 2 tablespoons of flour additionally will be used for the butter package. But we're chopping up the butter in the flour with the paddle attachment. But I'm not going to do that until this is foamed. But we also need 1/3 cup of sugar. Let's see if I get these things out of the way. 1/3 cup of sugar. Oh. No, it's a little bit of a tall container here. Okay, 1/3. And we want, in the flour, we want ½ teaspoon of ground cardamom. Lots of Scandinavian desserts employ cardamom. I'm not sure why. And it's one of my favorites. And, but I make a beautiful cardamom pear cake, which is Swedish, I think. And we can remove all these items. Oh, we need a tablespoon of coarse salt. And my coarse salt is kosher salt because it's available everywhere. And here we go, a tablespoon. That could have been blended up without the butter, and then add the butter later. But I got ahead of myself because I'm kind of teaching here. So I just had it all in my head. I got it right. So we're just going to let that sit for 5 minutes. And I'll get right back to you. And then we'll make our flour package for Danish pastry. Okay, darlings, we have our 1 cup of milk, which has been warmed to just under 110 degrees. It's cooled off now. And I have achieved some foam. It's not like crazy foam, but that's because there's no sugar in it. It's just milk. And we have our 1 pound 4 ounces flour, 4 tablespoons of butter, the cardamom, the 1/3 a cup plus 1 tablespoon sugar in the mixing bowl. And that's going to be the flour package. So we need to beat that. And also it's not cold. It's room temperature, but it still has some solidity because we want pea-sized grains in the flour package. And that's because we're doing rough puff, and the folds with the butter here, which I'll put aside, there will only be 3 of them as opposed to the normal 6. And by the way, I mentioned the cardamom, that's important. Oh, and there's a tablespoon of salt. So we're gonna put this on low until we get low so it doesn't explode everywhere, until we get pea-sized pieces of butter. I might put it on medium-low. Let's see. Yeah. And then we need to dust this out. This process shouldn't take very long. I'm just waiting for those pea-sized pieces of butter before I add the milk mixture. It says 2 or 3 minutes. This has not been 2 or 3 minutes, but I can check. Oh, they're a little bit too big. Okay, but they're not bad. I'm gonna go higher. Oh, it'll spill out if I go higher. So that's that. I'm gonna get some plastic wrap out, because as soon as we need this for 30 seconds, we're gonna plastic wrap it. So I have that on off camera. This isn't what you would normally see if you added sugar. So I don't know, next time I would divide the sugar between here and here. But once it hits the flour and sugar, it's gonna be great. Okay, so turn it off, turn it slow. Add the yeast milk mixture. There's a lot on the bottom, so I'll get my spatula. This baby wants to make it a hard time, and that's because it's very shedding. This is the 2 egg yolks plus the 2 eggs plus the 1 egg yolk. That's gonna help this thing form. It's not going to form a ball in the mixer, but it is going to. Well, actually, it comes together nicely. Let me put some more of the yeasty part in, because I'm worried about that. I'm worried it doesn't have enough yeast. If you put too much yeast, it'll taste yeasty. And that's not the goal. The goal is just to make it. Oh, and you know what? You also don't want to overbeat this. So there's a lot of considerations. The reason you don't overbeat it is because you want the butter to stay whole. It's not exactly a consideration of gluten formation as it is with cakes, but which make them dense and not great. It's really an issue of keeping the butter together, and I'm not sure I've done it. And there's nothing really left in here to add, so we're just gonna roll it up into a bowl. Nope, there's no kneading. That will just melt the butter. But you want it to get into a nice ball. I keep calling a ball a bowl, but that's because in French, a ball is a boule. And a boule of bread is like a ball. So 30 seconds, and there you have your yeasted flour package for the Danish, which has a nice, lovely flavoring. Oh, that's pretty nice. I love that. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it in plastic. And it's supposed to refrigerate for 2 hours. But I think I'm going to save some time, and I have that time, but I don't want to be up all night. So I might do it in the freezer for 1 hour. But I don't want to freeze it, so I'll have to keep checking. So that's our, oh, it's not covered. Keep covering, keep it covered. You don't want those dry bits. Those dry bits, well, I just wrapped the camera. Those dry bits will turn into like Tostitos or something in your bread, and they will break your teeth. Okay, so there we have it. The packet, the flour package. And that's going into the, I'm gonna do it in the freezer for half an hour and then transfer it to the fridge for another half hour, 45 minutes, or an hour. Okay, folks, so this is where we begin to make our butter package. Remember, we started with 1 pound of butter, and then we took away a half a stick to incorporate kind of rough pust into the flour mixture. So we take the remaining 3.5 sticks. This is medium chilled. It's not hard, it's not soft, it's pliable. And we want to do a butter package of in a similar way that we do the yeasted pastry for croissants, pain au chocolat, etc. French style. So that's, and then we add 2 tablespoons of flour, and then we're going to paddle mix it, and we're going to roll it out. So it's on slow till it comes to, well, till it blends, right? There's no need to fluff it up, but we need to get our pastry brush. So we have the butter package with the flour, 2 tablespoons of flour mixed in, and we're going to just get this to be a 10 by 12 rectangle. So I have plastic on the top and the bottom. And it's totally warm now. So we just want to do our best to get it rolled out. There's a reason that it's this thin, which is because we're not doing 6 folds. We're going to do 3 folds. So we start with this and then chill it, and it's going to be thinner than the start of what we normally accomplish on or we're required to accomplish in French pastry. So this is Danish. It's coming out the side, so I'm not gonna try to do that anymore. But I'm gonna keep it going in a rectangular manner, keeping the corners kind of okay. And you can even actually just do it with your hands. And it's coming out of the side, which is not ideal. Anyway, I want to scrape this butter off, put it inside the package, and put it on a tray. Let's measure it first. And I'll put some more plastic if I have to roll it. Where's the measuring? So, this is why you need the plastic on both sides, because it sticks. So I have 8 and I have 12. That means it's not thin enough. So we're making the butter thinner by making it 10 by 12. And it's quite thin. It's going to be 1/8 of an inch. And so that's why we need the plastic. And then I just want to get it, you know, we can trim this at the end. So put it on the tray. Needs to chill quite a lot. 15 minutes is okay in the fridge, but it could be chilled for a long time. It could be chilled for 2 days. Let's see. Okay. Hey folks, I just want to bring you up to date because the last video I shot, there was some schmutz on my phone camera lens. So what I did was I rolled the beautiful eggy yellow pastry out to 18 by 10. And then I also brought out my butter package, which you can see here. Can you? Yes. And let it come to the temperature of the butter, and then I did a 2/3 fold like a business letter. See, 1/3, 2/3. So I put the butter in sideways. The length was like this. I put the butter in like this, and I folded it and then turned it. And now, like the French pastry, I'm keeping this pan. We're going to roll it again, brushing. The layers won't stick if there's flour. And we're going to brush. We're going to roll this out to 18 again. So it's a full turn and roll. And this will be the first of 3. Okay? So I'm trying to keep the butter part covered. And my board is not, I'm not gonna try to make it wider. I'm trying to make it longer so that I can fold it again in thirds. And after that, I'm going to, my board isn't wide enough to do 18. So after that, it takes another hour in the fridge, but I find that it's totally doable to do 20 minutes in the freezer. This was 20 minutes in the freezer, and I don't intend to stay up all night, but I do want to get the butter ends. I want the butter to be crimped. And it is cool. It's very cool. So you can only do the center out, center out. I can tell right now it's not close to 18, but it should be 10 inches wide, 18 long. So we're gonna keep doing it. Try not to press at the end, although this end needed to be covered because I saw the butter sticking out. So did you. I put the camera on that, and we can imagine that's the same at both ends. Okay, so we just keep going. Keep going. And of course, it's a little bit wider than my pin. It shouldn't be, but that's just how it is. Okay, so that's how it is for me today. So let's just see if we have 18. I have 17, so we're very close. And then the fun part is going to be to fold in thirds overlapping, not like a business letter. And that will be the first fold and turn. And you'll do 2 more. So once we get that going, I'm gonna mark it. Okay. So let's see where we're at here. But it's looking pretty good. Love that golden color. That comes from the eggs and the egg yolks. And that comes from and the specks are from the cardamom. So we have 19 here and 18 here. So I'd like to shave off the excess. That's 18. That's 18. And I'm going to make a straight line through that. And I'm going to also do 10. Listen, it's only 9. It's 9.5 here. Oh, wait. It's 9 3/4 there. So that means let's do it properly, shall we? Or else why bother? Okay. So we're just gonna roll the center out, and I think we're set. So that's 10, and that's 10. So basically, you do a third, press, it's not breaking, that's a good sign. Get rid of the flour. See, there's a bit of leakage of butter. That's not going to matter. And then get rid of this flour. There's some leakage there. But that's not going to matter because we have 2 more folds. So we press it down. We make a mark on the side that's not going to be rolled. That's 1. That means 1 turn. Roll it over. And then you would refrigerate again, for an hour, or freeze it for 20 minutes, which is what I'm going to do. This time I'm not taking shortcuts. Just wanted you to see the fold, okay, at the short end. So it was folded business style, 2/3, 1/3, and then turned, rolled, and then chilled, then turned, rolled 18 inches, and then folded equally. Now it's turning again. And it's just like the French pastry from now on. The only difference is that I have 1 mark, and instead of 6, we need to do, we only need to do 2. So we're going to fold this to 18 inches. I have the measuring tape. It's 19, so I might be able to do it on this board. And remember that kind of seeped out butter here is on the bottom. And we're gonna, that's gonna get incorporated. Hold on. So we're just gonna get it going. And knowing that my board is 19, I can also know how close I'm getting to the right. And I can see little, this is where the rough puff is. You see the little dots from the very first stage, little dots of butter, and they're perfectly distributed. And it's really quite exciting to see that, because that's gonna be part of the pastry in the end. See that dots, and then there's the layers. So I'm trying to get this all done tonight so that I can move on tomorrow. So I want 18 and I have 16 and a half. So we're just gonna take the center out, lifting at the edge. And then we're gonna take the center, lifting at the edge, although that edge is kind of fat. So I do have to turn it. This edge is kind of fat. Very thick, I mean. So I'm not doing a side by side because I already know that I have the right width. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna do a measurement here. I want 18 by 10. And I have 18 here. Make it the cut straight. And I have I know it's 18 at the edge of my measure. I'd also like to get the width similar all the way, because I can tell it's not similar. Okay. It's thicker at this end than at this end. You are watching in perspective, and I know it looks much wider at the top, but it looks even more wider at the top than it does for me. Okay, so we take 1/3 and you dust all of that off because, oh, that's not a third. That's about a third. Dust that all off. You know what, I want to turn it down because you know what? I'm turning it over because that butter is still exposed. So I'm going to turn it over. There's the exposed butter. I want that to be unexposed. If you do this six times, it doesn't matter because it gets incorporated no matter what. So, but this is the second turn. And we fold it over and it comes out the same shape and size. Did I wipe it enough? It becomes the same shape and size as the first turn. And there's one of these has the mark. So anyway, it doesn't matter. We're gonna press that down. It's chilled and it's gonna chill again for 20 minutes. In traditional language, that would be 1 hour in the fridge. But I have one more to turn and twist to go. So I'm doing 20 minutes in the freezer, maybe 15. It's pretty cold. So we're back after 20 minutes. And you can see all the butter, the rough puff butter pastry. We have the folds. And we're turning the short side. You know how you roll it out. And then fold, and then that becomes the short side. Roll it, fold, roll it, fold. This is the final fold. And we're gonna keep this pan nearby because we're gonna, after we do this final roll and fold, we've turned it, obviously. So the short side's be in front of you. The short side is yes, the short side is always in front of you. Let's just dust this off. The short side is always in front of you. Oh, it was better the other way. Okay. So we have to make sure our pin is floured and it's cold. So we're just gonna start in the middle and roll out. And we know the width is right. Once again, it's always right because that's how it works. I don't know if you can see the lovely little bits of dough in there. That's what differentiates this from French pastry for croissants. We have a little bit of rough puff. That's the rough puff. And there are lots of recipes where you could do rough puff without inserting a butter layer. And this is kind of a combo. So we need to, it's very marbled. But that's why we only need to do 2 fold turns and turn, roll, and fold. I kind of just call it a turn and fold, but it must be rolled, obviously, or else you can't fold it. Okay, so I'm getting the impression that I need to go this way to get the final thinness, because if you don't get it to 18 inches, you're not getting the thickness you want, which is 1/4 inch. So this is why the geometry matters. You could just measure the thickness, or you could measure the length. We're talking about a volume. So a volume is both about the thickness and the width and depth. So it makes sense. Okay, friends, I've rolled it out to 18 inches. And you can see where the rough puff is. Let me show you. See all that marbling? Looks like terrazzo, but that's butter. And that's the rough puff. But the non-rough puff is the layers we've created in between with the butter package. So this is the 3rd and final turn. So we do a 3rd, press it down, and it all looks like, see all these little dots, like almost like alligator skin or terrazzo. Get rid of the flour or it won't stick. And then we do it again. Okay? And we get rid of all of that. But this is the 3rd and final turn. So we want to even it up and squish it in. And we are going, this time it goes in a plastic wrap and in the fridge for tomorrow, when we're going to make different kinds of, maybe 3 kinds of Danishes. That's what I'm hoping for. But it looks pretty good. So that's what a combo of a rough puff plus a folded puff plus yeast looks like. I'm just going to stick it together. And that's it for tonight. Looks good.